Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Starmade. This is Serge with another From the Vault ships. This is a big one. This is the Motherload, a ship that I obviously never finished. This was going to be the crown jewel in some sort of empire I was imagining of mining corporations. Long story short, though, it never quite got to that point. I didn't really know where I was going with the ship, and it kind of lost a lot of its shape when I started making it really big. As far as it goes, this ship is really big. This ship has over 227 million shields. It has multiple large hangars. You could consider it a carrier of sorts, but I call it a hub ship because this is where... This is the hub. This might as well be a mobile station. This thing has massive hangars. It has smaller hangars that are still considered big for a ship, any ship, as you can see. This thing has ships inside of the ship that I haven't even shown off yet, which I will probably use to show off, like this guy here. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this ship because even though there's a lot of interior, I don't want to really waste a lot of time on this thing since it's just a project I'll probably never go back to. But as you can see, this thing is just monstrous in size. Yes, it's a ship, it's not a station. It is, yeah, ridiculous. So, I mean, look at this. Down here is a fighter hangar. And I mean like Eisenth size fighters, if you're someone who believes that's the size of fighter, which I did back then. And there you go, there's some of the crows or raven fighters that I used to have. And this is just monstrous. So back here, I don't even think the ship's fully loaded yet. Oh yeah, no, it's fully loaded. But as you can see, there's a lot of empty space that just leads into literally empty space. Because this ship had just pretty much not being finished at all. You can see all of these systems, so many systems, all of these blocks. Yeah, it was my idea of making some sort of super capital mothership, which, I mean, I guess because you can call it the Motherload, it was my mothership. And it was sort of grew out of a rivalry I had with a friend, which one of us could finish a massive monster ship first. And neither of us really succeeded. I probably got closer, but his was going to be much bigger. I think his worked out to be over 2 kilometers long, and mine's only 1 kilometer long. But Jesus Christ, that's a lot of ship. And look at all this empty space. This thing caps out at 11 million blocks as it is. If I filled in all this area, this thing would be ridiculous. Like, you can see where I was planning to put more rooms. Just more parts of interior. Like, I only managed to finish 1 of that room, and there's a few levels to this. Actually, yeah, I only really finished a few. There's just it would have been so much work involved. This was again before I actually got into learning how to make things look nice. I had actually built a hospital. It's the first thing I built because I'm such a benevolent dictator. And it even had a very nice big lawn for the patients to kind of relax and get some therapy. You got another massive hangar that goes between the two sides of the ship. Just enormous. This thing is huge. Massive hangar that goes all the way through. And that's not a door, but it's a very thick thing of glass. And these were mirrored on both sides. I think this was like a cargo room, and this is before cargo was a thing. So the plan was to have pods on rails that when you docked your cargo ship in here, the pods would detach, go along a rail, and connect in. And I think they were supposed to also connect up somewhere else and go along. But anyway, actually, I think they were supposed to go in on here. Yeah, that's right. So there was meant to be some sort of pickup rail or some sort of pulley that you would take the rail. Actually, I think you were meant to manually drive them down and dock them in here once you it's multi-floor doors. Anyway, this is meant to be the cargo room. Obviously nowadays you just literally turn into a cargo room. But yeah. So this was like some sort of like display center for different types of blocks, and you could actually use this thing because I mean this is pretty much at this point a mobile base. You could have this as you could take this around the galaxy and just use it as your base. It had ridiculous amounts of shields. People, yeah, they could attack it, but you could attack back. And you could actually use it as your base of operations for like selling things, helping people out, all sorts of stuff. So you'd have, before, obviously we didn't have teleporters back then, so you'd have this, and you'd use the gravity to launch you from one end to the other end, which obviously, again, nowadays would use gravity. Not gravity, bloody teleporters. And again, you'd come down to this part here, and you'd follow this all the way down the back here. And yeah, so you can see the kind of length of time it takes just to get from one end to the other. And I'm in build mode and speeding through in build mode. I had this really cool room. This room I love, and I still love today. This is like the refinery. This thing was supposed to have like a factory, and then I discovered you couldn't actually put factories on ships. If I could, I'd probably take this and turn it into a station. But it'd still be a monster station, actually mega station. And this is meant to be like a fuel refinery or something. So as you can see, the lava is poured in here and is mixed. And yeah, this is pretty straightforward. So up here you had a little control button here, and that would turn off the lights and close the hangar bay. Or is that what I just did? Yeah, there we go. Turn off the lights and close the hangar bay. Yeah, another massive hangar, like huge hangar. Yeah, little doors go in there. What's that say? Safety rails are for suckers. Yeah, that's right. I remember I actually invited a friend over to play, and he we made a little private server, and he played on this and ran through this, switching off a bunch of the lights on me. As you can see, I still haven't found all the lights that he switched off. And yeah, this was an overall nuisance, but I think he enjoyed it. These are like turret bays. Yeah, these are turret bays, and as you can see, I got these like howitzer freaking cannons. Which honestly were awful, absolutely god awful. They dump-fired missiles, and they mashed into each other all the time and clipped with the building. They were just bad turret design. But they look cool. They look like broadside cannons in a big, ship. Another hangar down here, but this one was for a miner. So this is one of my old miners. So this ship alone has so many ships that I actually should show off. And this is like an old miner of mine. Again, made entirely out of hardened hull, and not in a good way, not for any good reason, but because that's all I had, or not all I had, but just all I had intention of using. Again, before cargo was a thing, so it was all just into the block, and you had multiple cargo, multiple storage containers. But yeah, so this was like a cool kind of like asymmetrical ship that I built, which was a little salvager as well. Not a very potent one. I definitely have better ones nowadays. But the idea was you fly it out, you do some mining, you bring it back, and you dock it in here and all these things. Some more lights that were turned off. Yep. And you'd be able to store them in here, and this would be where the cargo would go. And I don't know whether I anticipated cargo coming out. I don't think I did, but I think that was purely just for an aesthetic choice. Where we got? Coming in this way. Is that a door there? Door there. Yeah, there's a door there. Where am I? Okay, so there's a elevator here, or there would have been if I had built one. Oh, there is one. There is one. I still hadn't worked out how to make it stop at multiple floors yet. So this is. Oh, yeah, that's this area. I'm gonna have to swipe through the floors and just to see where I am. Oh yeah, and then you've got. I don't think this is considered. I don't think you'd consider this a hangar as much as like an interior access. But yeah, you've got like this massive drop here, which is just where you're supposed to like fly a ship down and be able to access different things. Reminds me of something you'd see in a Star Wars game or a Star Wars film. And it goes all the way down to the main fighter hangar, so you'd be able to fly small shuttles and stuff up and down that. Literally, you know your ship's too big when you need smaller ships to fly you around your ship. This thing, obviously lots of design choices that I probably regret, I definitely regret, and never really got around to finishing. A lot of design choices I really liked, but I tried to do too many design choices. Like this up here, I really like this bridge. This is like a comms bridge, and you can see I took the turret from the Harbinger, and I sort of made it rails. I gave it a dock, and it actually is quite a potent turret. Not now that I know how to build better turrets, but it was a good turret for me back then. So I've got this cool kind of like bridge up here. In order to get to, you go through here. And you had like this kind of like terminal, I guess you'd call it, like a airport terminal, and you'd come up in here and you'd come up again all the way to the top, and there was going to be some elevators up in here, so you could come up into here, and now you are in the bridge. So as you can see, you can start to see where I started to work on smaller details and finer details. And these finer details later became much more important to my builds, like this little antenna that's kind of off-center, and these like dishes, like satellite dishes right there. So like little things like that became really important to the things that I built, especially in the future, or rather in the present. Present, just present, I think the word is. So again, there's another little, this is I think a cargo ship, yep. So this is a cargo ship, which you would stack cargo containers up on each other. But obviously that's not a thing anymore, because we've actually got cargo now, which I could easily refit that to be a cargo ship, but it's a big waste of space realistically. So yeah, inside the ship, a lot more space. This thing could probably have a billion shields if I actually ended up filling up all the empty room. Oh yeah, so on the side I had these big domes in here, and these took me forever to build because I had no idea you could just fill in an area of the build helper with a click of a button. I actually went through and put every single one of those bloody blocks down, and these big turrets are pretty big. Well, they're not actually that big when you think about it. Like, they could have been much bigger. I just wasn't very good at building turrets back then. So that's the turret. And it dumbfires missiles out of it, because I had this weird obsession with dumbfire missiles at the point. I figured that these turrets weren't to attack fighters, they would just strike other big ships. They were cool in concept, but they're just too blocky, and obviously you can tell that I've gone away from that style, of blocky style in the past. So yeah, there's not much else to show. I guess I can show you guys the core room. Oh yeah, and you had a way to like eject the cargo pods through here, or you can pick up cargo pods through here. There's just so many ins and outs of this place. It's just so much to show off. You had the fuel tanks in here, some more fuel tanks, and up in here you have yeah, the main hangar, which I've already shown. But there was some like catwalks up here, so you could like check the fuel and stuff. And that wasn't actually fuel for the ship. That's like fuel for your ships that would be docked. And not only that, this thing, although with all these hangars, this is pretty much just a mega carrier, because with all those hangars you even had a landing strip or a launching strip here where you could dock your small fighters to and have them all launch off. Yeah, so we're gonna have a quick look at the core room, because this is back when I was building cores as if they were the most important part of the structure, which back then they were. This was going to be like the main control center, and each of these rooms here would control like one of the major weapons or systems. There was rail doors in here. I don't think they work anymore. Maybe they do. I don't know. I'd have to press a button to find out. Let's press the button. No, they don't work. It was a weird update that kind of ruined them, but I don't know how that works. Anyway, yeah, so this is the core room. As you can see, the size of this ship, I dedicated this much area of the ship for this baby little core right here. And yeah, this was insane. You had to travel a good 10, 15 minutes just to get to the core in this ship. It was ridiculous. That's a bit of an exaggeration, but at least 5, 10 minutes to get to the core. And yeah, I mean, this thing alone is some people's stations. Like, this area alone is the size of some people's stations. And this is what I called my core room. You got some offshoot corridors down the side here, which again led to these, which are going to be more rooms for messing around with. And again, there was just ridiculous amounts of thing. At one point, I actually had to layer armor over the shields because it was just chewing up my frame rate with all these little animated pixels. Yeah, so this is the Motherload, and this has been the Motherload with Surge, one of my old ships from yonks ago. It took me forever to build this far, and again, this is just what I was building back. This is when I was building for the sake of building. I wasn't building for any other reason but the fact that I was getting home after a long day of work, and I just wanted to relax, do something mindless, or in this case, quite mindful. And listen to music and just build, which is one of the things I really enjoyed to do back then. Enjoyed doing back then. Enjoyed to do. No, I think they both work. I'm terrible at grammar, if you guys can't tell. But yeah, either way, this has been Surge with the Motherload. If you'll have any questions, leave them in the comments below. If you have any suggestions, if you'd like to see this ship, if you'd like to, I don't know, if you'd like to see the ship finished, you can leave your comments in the section below. Don't expect it to ever be, because honestly, fuck that. But if you have any, if you like the video, leave a like. If you dislike the video, leave a dislike, because yeah, that's an option. If you haven't subscribed already, please do. If you have any questions or if you have any suggestions, please leave them in the comments below. And now I'm just repeating myself. So this has been Surge, and I am signing out.